So we continued the conversation that we were having afterwards, and we realized that an important issue with Gabora is that, you know, you can be building walls around your heart, and just to protect yourself, and that is really prevents you from moving forward as opposed to protecting yourself. So, what is there anything that you want to add about that? Like, how do you balance that?
That is exactly what we were saying about the vicious way of using Gabora. Building walls around our heart is definitely not what we want. Why? Okay, I'm sure some people will say, why? I've been hurt. Why not build walls around my heart?
Yeah.
I think it's a legitimate question.
I think so too.
And I think the answer to it is, at least from my own experience, is that when you build walls around your heart, you find it difficult to open up your heart when you want to. So it starts with stopping crying, with not crying anymore. And when we don't cry anymore, it's so much harder for us to laugh also genuinely from the depth of our heart. So, and you know, like Judaism sanctifies tears in a very high level. We say in the place where the gates of prayer are closed, the gates of tears are never closed. Tears are the most soul cleansing soap in the world. By the way, they say that about matzah too, but that's for another one. But coming up with Pesach now. But tears are the most cleansing thing in the world. What happened in Egypt when we got out? Our first and foremost, the most symbolic redemption that we're holding on to for the last almost 4,000 years, because we want to remember that redemption as the redemption that will teach us forever and ever what soul redemption is all about, what redemption is all about. So what happened 1 minute before everything changes? It says that the Israelites have screamed to God. So I don't know what that scream, what that hollow was about, but I think we all can identify with those words, realizing that there is that moment in your life that you're like, you know, but you know, maybe you don't look like a lunatic, maybe you do look like a lunatic at that moment, but it's so much more beautiful if you really cry, but not tears of bitterness, but tears of prayer, tears of hearing your soul saying, you know, no more. I need something else. I'm going to shift through that. You know, like how we say about addicts, and I say we're all addicts. We're all addicts of our anger. We're all addicts of our depression, or of our anxiety, or of our whatever. You know, all these negative emotions that we're accumulating, we're addicts of them.
That's so true.
We become, they in a way, you know, why do we get addicted to them? Because anger, in a way, is a self-support mechanism. It's instead of me getting all depressed about life, I will get angry at you. I will get angry at them. I will get into a blaming mode. So, and we get like into, or sadness in a way is doing the same thing with God, in a way, with reality, with like, I'm gonna become sad as a manipulative act over my life. There's nothing to do about it anyway, so I may as well be depressed for the rest of my life. I just heard that someone said it to me yesterday. You know, I'm 50 years old, I'm never gonna get a job. I'm never, you know, like, they're living with their parents. I'm never gonna get married. I'm never gonna get a job. I'm never, I'll just sit here and smoke cigarettes till the last day of my life, right? So it's like, in a way, you become like addicted to that sadness as a legitimizing tool of your laziness.
As an excuse for not
As an
doing
excuse
anything.
for not doing anything. Exactly. But instead, you could be like, I don't want to be addicted to my sadness. I want to be addicted. I want to rerun my program or reprogram myself that my addiction will be self, or like my mechanism will be like a problem. I'm joyful about it. It's a challenge. It's time to grow. It's time for innovation. It's time for new realizations. It's time for something new. Life really sucks. This is the time for something new.
It is scary.
It is.
It is. It's
But this
scary.
is the mechanism that I want to
switch on to.
switch on to. This is what I want to teach myself. This is what I want to tell myself. I'm running on a new program now. I'm not running on a program of like a problem I'm shutting off. I'm running on a program. A problem is a new beginning. A problem is a new challenge. A problem is a new opportunity.
And God presents them to you.
Right.
You get emails about opportunities for you.
Right.
And,
The minute
tell
you switch on to that.
Yep.
I remember my own little story from some I don't know, more than 10 years. I don't know, maybe 15 years already. And yeah, at least 15 years, maybe even more. And I remember like I was going through this issue and I was sitting and crying somewhere and I was feeling that my tears were tears of bitterness. They were not tears of prayer. They were not tears of open-heartedness. They were tears of like life is over.
Not constructive.
Not constructive, exactly. And then I realized that, that I learned this and, I wasn't practicing it so much at the time. But I realized that I learned at some point, that you need to learn to pray tears of prayer. That when you cry, it's the best thing. It means that you're like, when you have cried, I'll say it in a different way. When you have cried, wait for the miracle to happen around the corner. Because tears is not, being sad is a manipulative act.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at it also, we get sad, we wait for people to come and
make us feel better.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
But tears, I think they're more instinctive.
Yeah,
They're not
definitely.
so self-controlled.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I remember one of my kids once telling me something, and I could have gotten angry, but instead, I just started crying like a baby. It was awful too, because they thought I was manipulating them, but I really wasn't. I genuinely wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And my kid didn't take it back then at the time, but then later, I know it was true and honest, because then later it came a better, a good conversation. But tears and laughter are the most two, we learn in Chassidut, that tears and laughter are the most two instinctive things that are not self-controlled. And so, okay, we all want laughter, but it starts with being open with our tears.
Wow. I just had a bout of that this morning myself. And it was cleansing.
Right.
It's cleansing.
Right.
It's like,
Right.
and it's okay.
Right.
It's almost like a balance.
So at that time that I was crying, back then, and like when I was having this bad situation, and I was, like I was at a pizza place. It's quite embarrassing to fall apart in a pizza place, right? And I was kind of like, it's not like I was sobbing, like a baby in a pizza place, but I was like, tears were rolling down my cheeks, and and you know, and I was like, and I was feeling how they were bitterful tears. And I was like, God, please take away those bitterful tears of me, and you know, let me have tears of prayer, and let me have tears of faith, and let me have constructive tears. And you know what? 2 minutes later, whatever, this person was sitting by at another table, and they were like, hey lady, what's going on? And this couple that was sitting there. Anyway, it was like, at first I was like, you know, leave me alone, right? But then a couple of minutes later, I realized, you know, what do I know? Maybe it's God, you know, talking to me, right? And they invited me to sit with them, and they're like, what's your issue, and this and that. And they were like so friendly. They were like, let us help you. And they like really were there to help me.
Wow.
And they really, really solved my issue at that moment.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a small issue either, you know. It was like, so like, and I've seen it again and again in my life. Not necessarily in the form of somebody sitting next to you in a restaurant, but in so many different forms. When you really open up your heart in the deepest way, in the most genuine way, something happens to switch over the situation, and then you are ready to laugh.
And it opens the hearts of the people around you.
Also, right.
Their hearts just open up, and they want to help you. And
just like my kid, you know, back then, you know, like they weren't going to do what they wanted to do to upset me, right? But, and they didn't do it, and we were able to talk about it in a deep way because they saw how much it touched my heart that they were going to do something not good. And it was just like...
And it's also humbling.
And it's humbling.
It's
Definitely.
you're making yourself smaller so
Right.
that you can receive.
Right.
It's incredible.
Yeah, you're making yourself a vessel.
You're making yourself a vessel.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
In people's heart, they open up. It's like the light comes pouring out of them to fill your vessel. It's
Right.
incredible.
Right. Okay. See you guys.
Bye.
Click the button below to like the show and subscribe to our next videos. God bless.